Hello, welcome to episode 3 of this game Devlog. In the last episode I showed you how I created an animated mesh for the building floor. However, the boards were shown in quick succession in order to demonstrate the animation. This week I want to change that by making NPCs place the individual boards. But before I can do that, I need to take care of one last thing. A construction site is a complex operation that in the future might consist of many different tasks with complex dependencies. So I need to create some sort of system to manage all the workers. I decided to use another NPC for that, whom you can see on the screen now. He doesn't have to do anything yet, so he's just standing around next to a few piles of planks which will be used in the construction. It took a while, but the workers are now installing the planks. As you can see, they first approach the site manager to get a task. At the moment, the only task given is to install a plank. Then they proceed to the plank storage to get a plank, and finally, they can go into the pit to install the plank. This system is still extremely basic and there are many shortcomings. For example, the communication with the site manager is unrealistic, they don't even look at each other. In theory, two people could even talk to him at the same time. The planks in the storage table don't disappear when taken. When installing the first few planks, the workers seem to hover as the floor structure does not yet exist. And last but certainly not least, the workers don't go to the correct position when installing the plank. Instead, they always head to the center of the building. I intend to fix all these issues at some point, but to start, I will take care of the incorrect positioning. I have now created a very simple system that stores plank positions so that the workers can move correctly. However, I'm still not very happy with the system. At the moment, the workers decide where exactly they are going as soon as they get the task from the site manager. There will be problems if someone gets the task first, but arrives later than another worker, as they will be at the incorrect position. In the long term, my goal is to have them enter the building first and then determine their target plank. That is obviously more difficult to implement, as they would somehow have to determine which planks the other workers are installing, so I'm not going to do that right away. Instead, I'll work on the storage tables, so that picking up a plank is actually displayed. I managed to implement this rather quickly, as it is very similar to the way the floor is rendered. Please ignore the fact that the workers are sometimes inside of each other. I will probably fix that at some point. Now that I'm displaying the state of the storage areas, I need to make the manager and workers take that into account. At the moment, they always just take the boards from the first stack, which causes a crash once that stack is empty. I need the site manager to track how many unallocated boards are left on each stack and assign them to the workers. I decided to take a quick break from the worker AI in order to fix the shadow issues. I'm not sure how much is visible after YouTube compression, but there was a lot of annoying flickering on some surfaces. As expected, the fix was simple to implement. The only reason this took so long is that Monogame can only compile shaders on Windows, and it's always a bit of a hassle to switch operating systems. While I was at it, I also made a few other changes to the shading system. First, the shadows are now less blocky than before, although there's quite a bit of noise near the edges. Second, I fixed a small issue with the ambient occlusion, which caused objects at one edge to make the opposite border slightly darker. I also changed the behavior of the shadows near the edges. The black borders were displayed because no shadow information is known about the objects this far from the player. Now, instead, I fade out the shadow smoothly. Obviously, the camera should never be able to get this close to the shadow edge in the first place, and if it follows the player, it never does, because the shadows are centered on the player. Lastly, I made the sky blue. It's only a small change, but I think it makes the whole world look a lot more friendly. You can also see that only a very small part of the world centered around the player is rendered. When the camera is following the player, that border is never visible, as the game always renders the part of the world closest to the player. There is another issue that probably wasn't very visible during the past demonstrations. The NPCs can only enter buildings through doors, even during the construction. At the moment, the door is hidden, but I can show it to demonstrate the problem. If I move the door to a less convenient position, the problem should become even more obvious. So I need to make it possible for the workers to enter the building from any side. This might sound simple, but because I'm using two different pathfinding algorithms for the outside and inside, it's actually quite a complex thing to implement. As you can see, the NPCs now no longer rely on a single door to enter the construction site. I'm pretty happy with this algorithm, but it's not perfect. In some circumstances, it might be fastest to enter the building, leave it, and then enter at some other point again. The NPCs will never do that. The path is also not guaranteed to be the shortest, as they first search for the fastest way into the house, and then for the fastest way from the entry point to the target. I could change both of these issues, but it would make pathfinding significantly slower, so I won't do that. So that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed this slightly longer video format. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.